So now we will, that was addressing a special meeting that we had. You know, people are sitting here thinking, what? They're adjourning this meeting. So now I will call to order the our scheduled Branson Board of Aldermen meeting. If you would, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll get an invocation from Ted Martin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, guests. Please join me in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with heavy hearts as we're our neighbors up the road are definitely hurting in Christian County, all the law enforcement community, and those ancillary groups that support those missions last night, including our dispatchers, our EMS personnel, the hospitals. So many lives touched last night with the families of the fallen officers last night. Pray for the Christian County Sheriff's Department as they recover through this tragedy. Father, tonight we bring before you the agenda as we do the business of the city. We pray that the decisions made tonight will be honoring and glorifying to you. We pray that the city of Branson will continue to be a city on the hill, a light, a beacon, an area that people can come for respite, for recreation, for vacation, as it is a great place to live, work, and play. Father, thanks for the many employees that work here, 250 plus employees that serve in so many different capacities. And we're especially excited tonight to celebrate Julie Anderson as an Employee of the Month and the work that she does here for the city as one of the many examples. Father, thanks for this board. Thanks for your love and for your forgiveness. In Jesus' name, amen.
So before we begin, I'd like to take a moment of silence to pause to acknowledge the profound loss in our community. 2 Christian County deputies were senselessly killed overnight, and 2 more deputies were injured. We ask everyone to join us in a moment of silence to honor the fallen officers, Deputy Michael Hislop and Deputy Gabriel Ramirez. Our hearts are with their families, their fellow officers, and our entire community. We also extend our deepest gratitude to all first responders for their service, courage, and sacrifice during those events. Pretty sad event in our community. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Schultz?
Here.
LeBlanc?
Here.
Denham?
Here.
Milton?
Here.
Cooper?
Here.
Howden?
Here.
Lucas?
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Assistant Planning and Development Director Christina Thomas will be presenting the Employee of the Month for February 2026.
Thank you. On behalf of the Mayor, Board of Aldermen, City Administrator, and City staff, it is my honor to announce my financial specialist, Julie Anderson, as the City of Branson Service and Excellence Employee of the Month. As a subject matter expert in the licensing department, Julie has led the transition of the city's licensing applications from paper-based forms to comprehensive online systems. She designed efficient workflow processes, collaborated across departments to define requirements, and conducted extensive testing to ensure a smooth implementation. She also went above and beyond by assisting with building permit testing outside of her department's responsibilities. While managing this major project, Julie has continued to perform her daily duties with a consistently positive attitude and strong attention to detail, keeping the project on a strict and successful timeline. Julie's initiative and commitment to excellence reflect the City of Branson's core values and dedication to serving our community. Congratulations and keep up the good work, Julie.
Hey. So this is the public comment section of the Board of Aldermen meeting. Do we have any speakers tonight, Hillary?
Yes, sir. We have 3 speakers this evening.
So at this time, the board will hear the citizens who have signed up in the order they are listed. Please note, the clerk will let speakers know when we have 30 seconds left, and a notification will sound when their time is up. We ask speakers wrap up their comments upon hearing the 30-second warning. If a speaker would like a board member to bring an item from the consent agenda down for additional discussion, please note this request during comments. Please come to the freestanding microphone at the podium to address the board. Madam Clerk, who's first?
Our first speaker is Bobby Wydeen, speaking on Shout Out.
Good evening. I want to give a shout out to the Utilities Department, especially the crew working on the Head Start water line. They first had to clear out lots of brush to find the water line to begin with, which the equipment the kids loved watching. Chrissy or Christy, I didn't catch her name, called me to inquire our hours of operation to figure out a time the water line could be turned off. She knew that if we did not have water, we could not be in operation. She took our information, went back to the supervisors who decided to complete the work after we closed at 5 p.m. And so we're very grateful we did not have to close early, and the parents are grateful too. And again, the kids stood at the fence like this watching. So thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Madam Clerk?
Our second speaker is Gary Groman, speaking on public comment.
Good evening. In the past, as dramatically illustrated last week, there's been some abuse and confusion as to what should be presented during the public comment period. I would suggest that the public comment period should be reserved for comments other than those applying to an item that will be discussed later in the meeting during the regular agenda. The appropriate time to make a public comment on a regular agenda item is when that agenda item is presented for discussion, not during the public comment period. The reasons I believe are obvious. First, it is basically unfair to those waiting to speak on a particular regular agenda item, staff, and you, because it gives those speaking in the first public comment period an opportunity, as was done last meeting, to try to set their tone or tell their story, spewing forth their opinions and misinformation on an item scheduled for the regular agenda later in the meeting. This before the public in attendance has a chance to hear the item introduced, the staff study on the item, and your comments. To mitigate the problem during the public comment section of the meeting and permit public comment on regular agenda items in a fair and efficient manner, I would respectfully ask, particularly my Ward 3 Aldermen, but also this entire board, to consider the following changes to the current public comment period procedure. Number 1, change the title, current title, public comment, on agendas and other pieces as it appears to read, public comment on items not on the regular agenda for discussion later in the meeting. 2, add the words, and is not a regular agenda, it is not on the regular agenda for the meeting, to the end of the first sentence of paragraph C of section 270. Mr. Cole, currently that sentence reads, the purpose of the public comment is to accommodate members of the public who have comments regarding city business, and the board has jurisdiction or authority to take action on it. If this suggestion is adopted, it would be revised to read, quote, the purpose of the public comment is to accommodate the members of the public who have comments regarding city business that the board has jurisdiction or authority over to take action and is not on the regular agenda for the meeting. And 3 would be add the words that is not on the regular agenda for the meeting into the 5th sentence of that same paragraph. At the last meeting, Mr. Ewell seemed to think it was horrible that you were considering something that was the suggestion of a member of the public. Now, true, it was me, and I understand that Mr. Ewell feels about me the same way I feel about him, so we're even there. But isn't that the way the system is supposed to work? A member of the public makes a suggestion to his elected officials, and they decide whether, when, and how any action on that suggestion will be taken. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Gary.
Yep.
Madam Clerk?
Our final speaker is Julie Metz, speaking on Sunshine Law.
My name's Julie Metz. I live in Lake Taneycombe Acres, Ward 3. And just a reminder, the Sunshine Law guarantees public access to most records and meetings of government body, ensuring transparency. Public entities must respond to requests within 3 business days, providing documents, often for a fee, explaining closures with violation potentially resulting in civil penalties or invalidation of actions. It includes state, local governments. The public must have within 24-hour notice of agendas. Now, we did have 24 hours of the first reading of the bill, of the first reading last time. The second reading, we did not have a 24-hour notice of. And you do seem to do this a lot. Do your second final reading the same time you do the first reading. And I'm sorry, Mr. LeBlanc, but I am not ignorant. I used to program DOS. I used to be in charge of all the computers in our office. I'm not stupid. Now, I tend to get a little forgetful, but that's the Parkinson's and other diseases that I have.
Excuse me. During public comment, your comments really need to be addressed to me as the mayor.
Okay, Mr. Milton,
Yes.
Mayor Milton. I don't think it's right that Mr. LeBlanc called all of us ignorant last week.
Called off what?
Ignorant.
Okay.
Now, he might not like what we have to say, but we have a right to say it. And you did violate the Sunshine Law by holding the final vote before you had gave 24 hours notice on it.
Mayor,
Dave,
for
20
clarification, that's not a violation of the Sunshine Law, and I'm happy to say that here in the public forum.
Well, I've talked to an attorney, and he said it is.
Okay.
And I tend to read this literally,
Okay.
like I do most things. And I'm sorry if you think these illegal aliens, like they're listed in your contract, shouldn't be here, but the Bible is clear on how we're supposed to treat foreigners. I've read it cover to cover several times. And that's not how you're supposed to treat them. That's not how you're supposed to treat anybody. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Hill? Next is the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of the board or staff would like to have moved down from the consent agenda to ask additional questions or comments?
Mayor, I'd like to move item number 4 to be, I would like item number 4 to be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the first item on the regular agenda.
And Mayor, I'd like to move item number 6, bill number 6647, off of the consent agenda.
Any others? Madam Clerk, would you please read the items on the consent agenda as amended?
Your Honor, the items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the Board of Aldermen minutes for February 10th, 2026 special meeting and February 10th, 2026 regular meeting. Acknowledge receipt of Planning Commission minutes for the January 6th, 2026 regular meeting. Acknowledgement of disbursements for January 20th, 2026 through February 12th, 2026. And final reading of bill number 6646, an ordinance approving the reimbursement of building permit fees for eligible nonprofit organizations related to certain affordable, low-income, and workforce housing developments within the city of Branson. That concludes the reading of the consent.
Motion approving all items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote, please?
Scholes,
Yes.
LeBlanc,
Yes.
Denham,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Lucas. The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries. Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 6642, an ordinance approving the intergovernmental agreement with Taney County for the county to provide funding towards the cost of the city's planned sewer collection system rehabilitation project, pipelining and manhole sealing, and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
You've heard you've heard the final reading of Bill 6642. I have a motion approving this bill.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get a staff report from Kendall. Hello, Kendall.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Shortly after the first read approval, I was contacted by the county legal department, and they requested a wording change to the document. It's pretty basic. It's removing the word rehabilitation out of the name of the project and replacing it with upgrades throughout the document. So pretty basic in that. So we're requesting approval.
So,
Your Honor, I move to amend Bill 6642 by incorporating all of the changes shown in red to Exhibit 1, Intergovernmental Funding Agreement with Taney County.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Are there any members of the board wishing to speak to this? Any members of the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
And now, we just need to vote on the bill as amended. So we voted on the amendment.
Got it. So are there any members of the board wishing to speak regarding the bill as amended? Anyone in the audience? Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote for this final bill
Scholes?
as amended?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Bowden? Yes. Lucas? The result of the vote is 6-0. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 6647, an ordinance amending Section 2-62 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to regular meetings and agendas.
So you have heard the final reading of Bill 6647. I have a motion approving this bill.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any members of the board wishing to speak regarding this matter?
Yeah, could we bring up this bill on the screen, please? And while they're doing that, my purpose for asking it to be brought up is just to ensure that this is really the way we wanted the wording. Our clerk did go through and confirm that this was the way the wording was on the first read, but it was a very late night when we were doing this. And when I looked at it, it didn't seem to reflect the intent of what was being discussed, but then I might have missed that as well, just because of the late night.
We're going to put the red line.
We're getting there?
So it's easier to see what the motion was. So this is the red line of what was changed from the last meeting.
Okay, and let me just explain. I thought the way we were leaving the bill was that there were 6 business days where you had to file. Maybe I'll let people read it first. So there were 6 business days where 2 aldermen would have to file to have a resolution put on the agenda, and that resolution would just be the approval to move forward with more city staff work and bring it back to the aldermen. My understanding of what we were trying to do with some of the amendments was that once it's been approved to expend extra resources, that essentially the finished product for a vote would have to be brought back to the aldermen within 2 meetings. The way this reads is you have 6 business days before the meeting to submit the request to get the resolution to approve further work, but that request doesn't have to appear until up to 2 regular meetings later, after the 6 days. And I don't think that's what we were intending to do. And I'm looking at, I'm looking at Marshall because I think this was your amendment. So could you clarify?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is that I really don't think this is a stopgap measure is kind of the way that I see it. I still see a mechanism because quite frankly, it's happened within the last week for an alderman and myself to communicate with city admin about getting something on an agenda. We're not saying that it's required to go through this process, essentially, because city admin could just essentially say themselves that they're putting on the agenda, but be respectful of those two aldermen. I think that not to exceed is something that is not going to be abused. If it were to be abused by a future city administrator, not the one we have now, at least it gives a timeline. As far as creating a timeline for the actual bill or resolution to come to the agenda, I just don't think that's practical because from time to time, there may be something that city admin or the attorneys work through for months, and they're really putting the yeoman's work on it, but it just takes quite a while. So personally, yeah, like you said, with it being my amendment, I'm fine with how it sits right now.
Just for clarity, I see what Glenn's point is. The way this is written, it's saying that, because if you look at the line 44, when it says, as a resolution for board consideration, I believe the intent was the aldermen have to submit their request 6 business days before the meeting for the resolution. After the resolution, if that's approved, then the city administrator has up to 2 meetings to put it on the agenda. Kathy?
I think and if I'm remembering correctly at the last meeting, the thing that was talked about quite extensively was without knowing what the topic is and how much research time would be necessary for the bill to come before this body, that not to put a timeline on it, but your retribution or your accountability, that's the wrong word, accountability measure for your city administrator is if they're not meeting the deadlines in a reasonable expected time that the board has on an issue, you would follow up and say, where are you at on this particular issue? How much more time do you need? This administration will certainly be reporting that out to you. If I need more time on something, I'll come publicly and say why. But I understand the wanting to have a corral, if you will, of accountability for future administrations as well, to make sure that they're being responsive to the board. But at the end of the day, you hire and fire the city administrator, and if you feel that they're not being responsive to you in a reasonable and practical way, you have a remedy for that. So, but again,
Mr. Mayor, the part I have the issue with then, if we're going to leave it this way, is it just seems like we've put 2 clauses in there, one of which is unnecessary. So either you submit it 6 days, business days before the meeting and it makes it on the agenda, or you submit it and it has up to 2 agendas before it appears. But to have both on there seems like, we're giving as much latitude as possible. And just procedurally, all we're talking about for the 6-day notice is a standard template that's going to say, these 2 aldermen asked that we consider a vote on a formal city flag, right? And that's all it's going to say. It's not big legalese. It's not going to take attorneys 2 weeks to work out the resolution wording. It's going to be very basic, very simple. We'll have a discussion about it for clarification, and then we'll decide, are we authorizing city staff to move forward with all the legalese around that? So I really see no need for this but not to exceed 2 regular agenda meetings clause in there at all. 6 business days before a meeting, and we can't have a real simple You know, hey, the 2 aldermen want to do this. Are you guys in agreement? Can we move forward on legalese? It seems so trivial to me, and we're turning it into a process that it doesn't even hit the radar potentially for a month and a half, 2 months.
So Glenn, would you like to propose an amendment to this?
Yeah, I propose that we strike out the words, but not to exceed 2 regular agenda meetings.
Second.
That's-
Any alderman?
Well, again, I'm not worried about it with Kathy. And I understand why it was there to begin with, because
Yeah.
we never know who's going to sit in that seat 10 years down the road. And I understand what you're saying too, Kathy. 15, 20 years down the road. But I understand what Glenn's saying too, so, I mean.
Ralph, did you have something?
Just recalling that night, I mean, you know, we definitely, you know, had a way into submitting something, putting a guardrail on it, not to exceed those 2 meetings, was taking into consideration, you know, the level of operation that the city's currently at. We got a lot of bandwidth going on, and, you know, between the alderman and the city administrator, we have discretion. We can have conversations about, you know, what's important that's white hot that needs to be taken care of, and then what are the things that we have other things that have precedent over that they're more demanding of the time, so that we can kind of make accommodations for maybe something that could be on the agenda, but it's not like one of those things that are super hard pressing. And to me, that's what this identifies. It allows, you know, that little bit of buffer for that discretion to occur, but still holds everyone accountable.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
So even though I seconded the amendment, I'm thinking it through. I guess a guardrail leaving the not to exceed 2 regular meetings still creates for us is, what if you only give it 3 days before as opposed to 6? If you don't meet those 6, you're not giving any parameters. You're just saying then should be the next meeting.
Yeah.
To me, that would be the logical result. If you're late, it's just the next meeting. You know, and again, I just want to emphasize, this is not to force the city staff to do a whole bunch of work, you know, to meet the 6 days. There's no work to this. It's just putting it on the agenda, right? And then we can discuss, do we want to do this? And we can also put timelines. If Kathy raises her hand and say, hey, I appreciate the fact you guys want to move forward with this, but we're swamped for this reason and that reason, could we put off the actual work until another month? We should have that discussion. But I think to pre-bake in, you know, the aldermen's not having any sense of urgency on their own agenda just doesn't feel right to me.
Okay,
I'm good with that.
so we have a motion, second, in
I don't know,
discussion.
I mean, you know, listen to what Glenn said. I mean, you know, again, that's theoretical. This actually codifies or actually puts those parameters in writing, which is really where it matters most. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we can speculate and talk about theory, but, you know, what's on that paper is what's going to guide any board or any future board that takes this position, and how that city administrator is going to be governed by the board.
So any input from the audience?
Sure. Alex Williams, the 6-day rule, does that originate from just historical context? I know I've asked a couple of people about it, but it seems as if it's 6 days is the right amount of time, and then we're going to call out 2 regular meetings apart from that and not keep one or the other. Is 6 days something that comes from some context, or was it what's been on the books here in the city? Just curiosity on the 6 days, instead of creating it over here in 6 days, there isn't really enough, and I really need 2 regular meetings to fall back on. Is it one or the other, and just out of curiosity where 6 days comes from?
That's current code.
So this was, the 6 days was a provision added after I took over as city administrator. Before I came, there was no mechanism for aldermen to get anything on an agenda. So this is the first administration that was like, hey, let's sit down with our electeds, and then you're not as vulnerable to maybe a hostile administration, and making sure that there was a process and an opening for our electeds to be able to do that. The reason we talked about changing it from 6 days to 6 business days is given the way our scheduling works and deadlines for things to make it to agenda. What the public doesn't see behind the scenes is how our department heads have to get their materials in, like, I don't know, 9 days before the next scheduled meeting so they can go through legal review, contractual review if there's contracts, the clerk's office for review, formatting, editing, my final approval, and then it gets finally put onto a formal agenda. So there's lots of steps in the machine before we ever put on the show here.
Perfect, I appreciate that. So then the 6 business days was born during this administration, the specificity of 6 business days?
Yeah.
So has the dynamic shifted since that started where we need to add more layers? Since this administration created that standard or clarified it, has it changed to where we need to add on?
Alex, you know, because I was a part of the initial group that wanted this to be codified as far as 2 aldermen putting something on the agenda, and you know this is something I've been passionate about. I don't actually see it as additional layers. I actually see it as codifying the mechanism. Because like we talked about last time, putting something on the agenda doesn't mean anything unless you have staff time that accompanies it, essentially, and a way for the alderman to trigger that staff time, basically. So what we're trying to do with this amendment is to remove that not to exceed 2 regular business meetings so that we just have that 6 days, but continues with that next process, which allows us a mechanism to trigger that staff time, essentially. So I don't necessarily see it as complicating it. I actually think it gives us a mechanism to accomplish what we're trying to do.
No, it's fair. Again, preserving ward-centric advocacy, you need to be able, like, that's why everyone is against the idea of going to 3 aldermen. That's where we started. But beyond that, I just think it's interesting. It creates a bigger span of time in between the point that you board the highway, or when you get onto the highway, when you're getting off the highway, you're lengthening that runway. And obviously, we're trusting due diligence is going to happen, but we're creating procedural, we're setting in new process, new procedure, which is just, again, giving more opportunities. That's not calling anybody to question, but is there enough time? My thought process would be do a better job figuring out how much time you actually need specifically as opposed to, well, you have up to, because that's less specific.
True. And the truth is, actually, 2 aldermen could say something within the 24-hour posting requirement, and a city administrator could put something on the agenda. And knowing Kathy, if she feels like that's the will of this board and not just maybe a small minority on the board, or at least that a plurality could be gained to move forward with city staff, I can guarantee you that that would happen, essentially. So that we definitely have a mechanism for it to be quicker. This is just a stopgap measure that this is the last amount of time that it could possibly take. And actually, with this amendment that Glenn and I just put forward, I think we're actually shrinking that quite a bit.
No, I appreciate that. I just wanted to expand on the 6 business day deal and the thought process as to keeping the 2 independent clauses in the ordinance. So, thank you.
And keep in mind, Alex, this was put up initially, when Marshall brought this up, was to add transparency. State statute says the mayor and city administrator put things on the agenda. The aldermen don't have a choice. So by doing this, we wanted to provide the aldermen their voices as to help run City Hall, and not just the mayor and the city administrator.
No, and that's how it should be. We don't want to default to what necessarily, like, we want to be thoughtful towards what people want in the community, and specifically, that's why advocating for not boxing out a ward, just checking for plurality across the board, because there could be something that's ward-centric that isn't captured by the rest of the city. So
this is
I
doing
respect
what you
that.
want to do.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that's a good thing that we
Yeah.
have shifted away from what was presented originally. And I understand the thought process, don't necessarily completely agree, but it's putting in more specific runway. It provides a little bit, there's a left limit and a right limit, but we're just making the road a little bit longer. Yes, there can be due diligence that shortens that in between based on how fast the city administrator acts on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but
Yeah.
but you're in agreement.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify, and you
Thank
guys
you.
clarified. Thank you.
Gary?
I have no problem with the amendment, except the way it currently reads, it puts a limitation on the word practical. Practical could mean To the city administrator, it's going to be as soon as efficiently possible, but to somebody, practical could be 3 meetings. But by leaving that the way it is, it puts a limitation on that practical. Practical could mean anything you want it to mean, that's all I'm saying. If we're concerned about that, we ought to take a look at the word practical too, but thank you.
Good point, Gary. Very practical comment. Anybody else in the audience? How's the board feel?
My current feeling, Mr. Mayor, is to vote on this amendment, and then I would like to make an amendment based on what Gary just said.
Okay, so we have a first and a second on this amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Now, let's talk this through and be practical about this, please. The city administrator will add the request to the next practical regular meeting agenda. My thought process is really hinging it on those 6 days and actually saying, essentially making the wording so that it says that if 2 aldermen meet that 6-day period, it will be on the next meeting agenda. If they don't meet that 6-day period, it'll be on the agenda after that.
Well, let's test the trial balloon here. I'll move to strike the word practical.
To accomplish what Marshall's saying, you would just need to put at least 6 business days.
Yeah,
And
I
that would,
move to strike the word practical.
That's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any comments from the board? Boy. No comments from the board. Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I wanted to ask Hillary, can you please read what we are voting on? Because
So the motion on the floor is to strike the word practical from line 43.
Again, what the amendment was to, but not to exceed 2 regular agenda meetings? Or is that still?
It was stricken. So we voted on that one just previously. So the first amendment was to strike, but not to exceed 2 regular agenda meetings. And now this motion is to strike practical.
so whatever request the alderman or whoever is requesting this be put on 6 days prior to the meeting, doesn't matter what it's regarding, it must go on as a resolution at the next meeting.
As a resolution.
A resolution that we will discuss it in the future. So what's the time limit on that?
This is all we're voting on, Ruth. This is all we're voting on, is just the resolution to put it on the agenda.
Just for clarity, the reason I don't think once it gets approved by the alderman that there should be a time limit for it to come to the agenda. I'll take the Branson Pirates water tower, for example. I brought that up a year in advance. I worked on it for months, and I don't see that as necessarily a bad thing, and I don't see it as anybody trying to thwart me or not trying to move along with me. When an alderman asks to put something on the agenda and they're really going to do the heavy lifting on something, there's a lot of work and research that goes into it. Kendall did a lot of work on that, researching, finding out with the company if that was feasible, creating an entire, logo of what it was going to look like. We had to get permission from the school. We had to get permission even before we even voted on it. It was mentioned tonight, we're doing something with the flag, and sometimes things take a while. And I don't think it's fair to put a time limit on staff, because ultimately that's going to come back and bite us, because we're going to get into something that may be sticky legally or whatever the case may be, that it deserves proper time. And I don't think a time limit should be put on the final item coming on the agenda.
Just as a point of order, I appreciate the comment, but we really should stick to the motion on the floor.
So, Mayor, we're voting on the amendment that Glenn made of striking practical. Is that what we're voting on?
That's correct. So, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Ayes have it. So now, Hill, we need to approve this
As amended,
as
correct?
amended.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to give Marshall time. I don't know if there was another amendment that was being proposed there, or if you're now okay.
So, we'll entertain a motion to approve this.
So we have a motion and second on the floor. We just need to call for the vote on the bill as amended, and it would be a roll call vote because it's on its
Roll
final
call
read.
vote. Would you conduct a roll call vote, Hill?
Schultz,
Yes.
LeBlanc,
Yes.
Denham,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Howden,
Yes.
Lucas. The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries.
That was easy, yeah.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution approving a special event permit application for the Harley-Davidson National Hog Rally at the Full Throttle Branson Bike Week.
Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. We'll get a staff report from Amanda Ross.
And Amanda is attending virtually, so we are getting her up on the screen right now.
Okay.
All right, Amanda, you're in the meeting. If you want to, there you go. And then you'll want to unmute yourself. Sorry. There you go.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, Administrator Stepp. Thank you for your time this evening. Just real quick before I present, I would personally like to thank Julie Anderson, our Employee of the Month, for her work with transitioning licensing into a digital platform. It was instrumental in this transition, and I just wanted to personally thank her. With that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay. All right. Super excited to present this tonight. This item is a resolution for a Level 3 special event for the Harley-Davidson National Hog Rally as part of the Full Throttle Branson Bike Week. This is a large-scale, multi-day event expected to generate strong tourism and economic activity, and staff has coordinated across departments to ensure safe operations and appropriate conditions for approval. It also represents an opportunity to continue building Branson's reputation as a destination capable of hosting successful national level events year after year. So backed by popular demand, the National Hog Rally rolls into Branson, Missouri, where the Ozark Mountains set the stage for an unforgettable experience. Ride winding roads and sweeping overlooks, cruise past Table Rock Lake, and explore the region's rich musical heritage with Branson's famous live shows. Off the bike, enjoy some lively downtown unique attractions and plenty of hog camaraderie. The applicants tonight are Rachel Johnson and Russell Berg of Mighty Loud Inc. And this is considered a level 3 event. Harley-Davidson National Hog Rally will be hosted as part of the Full Throttle Branson Bike Week, celebrating one of the brand's most significant rider gatherings. Approximately 7,500 attendees, 4,000 of which will be hog members, open to the public as well, generating major economic impact through 1,000 plus hotel rooms, dining, retail, and attractions. Historic downtown Branson will serve as the central hub, creating a walkable, high-energy gathering space for rally activities. Multi-day programming includes scenic Ozark rides, motorcycle parade, national headline concerts, local music, fireworks, vendor activities, and community events. National exposure and long-term opportunity to establish an annual signature event through partnership with Mighty Loud, Full Throttle Distillery, Harley-Davidson, and Branson Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce, and the City of Branson. Here's a look at the day's events. Setup will occur on Wednesday, September the 9th at 8 a.m. Event dates will be September 10th from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., September 11th, 9 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., September 12th, 9 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., and September 13th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Some of the activities include motorcycle parade, organized scenic rides, concerts with national headlines and local bands, food trucks, vendors, fireworks show, family activities, and satellite bars. And the alcohol sales will begin at 12 p.m. each day. The event breakdown will start on Sunday, September 13th at 3 p.m. The kickoff parade will begin in Springfield, Missouri, and travel south on Highway 65. The riders will be accompanied by the Missouri State Highway Patrol, and Branson Police will join the procession once the riders enter Branson city limits. Here's an aerial view of the location. This is a site map that indicates where the road closures will be, vehicle barricades, fenced concert area, as well as restrooms, satellite bar, vendors, food trucks, and also production parking and public parking. The temporary road closures within the downtown area will be West Atlantic Street between Veterans and North Commercial, East Atlantic at North Commercial through North Sycamore Street, North Sycamore Street from East Atlantic through East Main, South Sycamore Street through East Main until about halfway through East Main at North Commercial and Sycamore Street. Portable message boards will be added as temporary signage of the event and will be provided by the Public Works Department. Barricades will be provided by Public Works and the Branson Police Department. Several partnerships, coordination, and support have went into this event, as well as multiple city departments, as well as the Branson Chamber of Commerce, Historic Downtown Branson, Branson Convention Center, Missouri State Highway Patrol, Taney County Sheriff's Department, and Taney County Ambulance District. This is a level 3 event. Special event permits shall be granted or denied based on the director unless approval is required by the board. We're here tonight for approval from the board. Staff recommends approval with the following conditions: compliance with section 9465 of the Branson Municipal Code. Prior to the event, the applicant shall provide a certificate of liability insurance naming the city of Branson as the additional insured. Coverage shall include both commercial general liability and liquor liability. Prior to the event, the applicant shall provide written owner acknowledgments from all property owners affected by the event, included but not limited to temporary closures of drive-through facilities and roadways. Prior to the event, the applicant shall provide an insurance endorsement, a waiver of subrogation in favor of the city of Branson, its officers, officials, employees, and volunteers. With that, I would like to, I believe that Jesse James is there this evening, and he would like to address the board to provide a little bit more information about this event.
Well, hello, Jesse James.
Thank you very much, man. It's proud and exciting to be here in front of the aldermen tonight. I got a hold of the microphone. I've never used a mic stand in my life, so it's good to be addressing you guys tonight. First, I think it's important to know where you're going. You got to know where you've been, and the way that this came about was Harley-Davidson has national. They have regional rallies across the country, and they recently had a regional rally up in Springfield, and we work really close. I consult the Harley-Davidson Motor Company now for about 8 years, and I produce events for them, such as on their grounds, which I'll show you a quick photograph in a minute, but on the grounds up at the Harley-Davidson Museum. We also work with regional events such as the Smoky Mountain Rally up in, bike event up in Maryville, Tennessee. Also recently worked with the Harley-Davidson and the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue event to move from Fayetteville up to Rogers. And the city of Rogers reminds me a lot of Branson here. So we've got experience in working with cities in this fashion. But Harley went up and did the regional hog rally up in Springfield. We invited them to come down to the Full Throttle and have dinner, some of the principals from the motor company. And they came down and they met some of the city team members, and they fell in love with Branson. And there was a little bit of a tempting that they should come down and do an event down in Branson. Well, it just so happened that since COVID, they had not done the national hog rally, which was something that was a staple that they would do every year. So this will be the first national rally that Harley-Davidson has produced since COVID. So that's how we got to this, was them coming down and literally imagining what a great event Branson could host. And of course, the city, just in the initial introduction, they felt very welcomed. It's important to know what HOG is. HOG means Harley Owners Group. That's individuals that that generally can afford a $30,000 motorcycle. And so someone that has expendable income, they are the most charitable bunch of people. They give you the shirt off their back to lead the charity rides. Every single Harley-Davidson dealership in the country is required to have a HOG chapter. And these are the ones that they lean on to basically be their sense of community and get out and outreach. They also, by the way, spend 20% more in a Harley dealership than the average customer. They're very dedicated. So, Amanda, do you have another slide that you could go to? Did my team send a slide to you? There. So, yeah. So this kind of represents who HOG is. They participate in so many patriotic things, and they really align well with Branson's initiative for the 250th. And I'll come back to that in a minute, but that's who HOG is. HOG is kind of the fraternity, if you will, of the dedicated Harley riders out there. They come, we have the Full Throttle up in Sturgis, and there'll be thousands and thousands of HOG members from across the country and around the world, to be honest with you, that show up to get a HOG pin. And there'll be HOG pins that'll be Branson HOG pins. It'll be something that if you see the HOG members, they have their vest and they have all their pins from all the places that they attend to. So they're very excited about coming to Branson, and they've already started designing what their Branson HOG pin would look like. So let's go to the next slide, please. So HOG, again, I've covered this. They got HOG chapters all over, 1,400 plus HOG chapters worldwide. I was just over in Austria for a big international rally over there, and it's just amazing to see all the HOG vests from all over the world, from Italy to Japan, you name it. But I think I've covered this already. If you don't mind, Amanda, you could go to the next slide, whoever's driving there. So our vision, this is what the event looks like. If you go, this down in the bottom, you got Ohio Bike Week, which is a good example of a bike enthusiast coming into Ohio Bike Week. You got Smoky Mountain Bike Week that happens up in Tennessee. You've got, like I mentioned, Rogers, Arkansas. But this is just the fun that we have. There's bike shows, there's biker games. We'll be giving away a Harley-Davidson motorcycle right here in Branson. There'll be HOG members from all over the country that'll be vying to try to win a bike that we'll present right here on the stage during this event. Go to the next slide, please. This was that one photograph there in the middle is at the Harley-Davidson Museum. This is a big event that we have there. This is actually the museum campus. And Harley being, they're a big corporation, obviously, so we have to maintain a standard of integrity. Just same standard of integrity that we would bring to Branson for this event. But like it was mentioned, national acts, parades, and just everything that we'll be celebrating. I'll come back to a big celebration that we got around veterans here in just a minute. So we've got the marketing. So I talked to you about who HOG members are. I talked to you about, what the event's going to look like as far as, coming in and bike enthusiasts and the sense of community that we'll be bringing. And also share with you the marketing. We've got Sturgis Motorcycle Rally happening. There'll be 700,000 people come to Sturgis this year. And we've already, established a great partnership with Branson. We're going to be promoting just visiting Branson in general, but we're also going to be heavily promoting the fact that right after the Sturgis Rally to make your way down to the National Hog Rally. So we'll be doing that. They'll also be pushing out through all the dealerships, and 600 plus dealerships in all of North America will be driving their hog members to make the pilgrimage down to Branson. Go to the next slide, please. Again, when I say that it aligns great with the 250 because Harley-Davidson, we've got go to the next slide. I'm going to go ahead and jump one more. We have the National Let's Ride Challenge. Last year we did this, and it was the first year we've done it. We challenged all Harley riders to ride cumulatively 50 million miles, and from February until October. And we gave away 5 motorcycles that were in different tiers. So low mileage up to the high mileage. And they could, not only mileage, but it was also engaging with the dealerships and participating in their activities and such. And they get what they call rev score credits. We hit 84 million miles last year. And it was an incredible, successful campaign. And when we hit 50 million, which was our goal, we donated $1 million to the American Legion, combat vets, VFW, Buffalo Soldiers, and we're doing it again this year, and it's going to be even bigger. We're going for 100 million miles this year, and it was just such a huge success. The reason this matters is because we're going to make Branson is going to be because we're going to be getting toward the back of that contest where people are going to be racking their miles up. So we're going to really drive and make this one of the places where they can register their miles, get their credits, and then that'll also be tied in with that platform that we use. We'll be tying it in to give the motorcycle away. So I get long-winded, so I'm going to keep moving here. So anyway, so we're excited about the partnership with the city of Branson. We're excited about bringing this down something that we hope not just to, I've got a firm belief personally that I don't like doing anything just once. If I'm going to do it once, I want to do it over, and I want to do less of what doesn't work and more of what does work. And the fact that so far in the conversations with all of the different departments and everyone from the city, it's been a pleasure to work with everyone thus far just to get it to this point where we've talked about what could be, and hopefully we've exemplified being good partners. We're very proud to have the full throttle here in Branson, and hopefully you can see that we work to overachieve and being good neighbors with everyone. So we really appreciate the opportunity to present to the board today, and we look forward to your consideration and hopefully doing some fun stuff. So thank you very much.
Jesse, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Heather?
So I just wanted to share briefly what economic impact could look like. So right now, our average visitor is spending approximately $320 per person in market when they stay. So if we're on the conservative side of, say, 7,500 people coming into town for Thursday through Sunday at that $320 mark times 7,500 people, the economic impact stands to be at about 7.2 million for that Thursday through Sunday. And again, that's on the conservative side. We would venture to guess it will be much higher than that. Our team has already secured a room block of 1,000 rooms across Branson at all different levels of properties. So the Full Throttle team already has those rooms ready to go, ready to launch and start securing reservations for people who are ready to confirm their attendance. We believe wholeheartedly that this is one of those events that will benefit our destination for years to come. It's a partnership that will live on, and it will create nationwide exposure for our destination. And what better year to do it than to start in 2026 with the patriotic theme that they bring and we're ready to start telling the world about it as well.
Don't go anywhere. Hold on. Heather, I was privileged when you invited me to meet with these initial guys, came down to Branson to talk about this. And it didn't take much for us to sell Branson, because Branson pretty much sells itself. I also wanted to take a minute to acknowledge what you have been doing for Branson. This is a national event, right? This will get Branson national exposure. What you did with Good Morning America, right? National exposure on Fox and Friends, right? National exposure. The movie that's just been filmed here, that will be aired this November, the Christmas movie, national exposure, right? So that's one thing I admired from Heather when I first met her, is she's a big thinker, right? She doesn't come in and fill this cookie cutter role of how do we keep marketing Branson. She saw Branson as a much bigger vacation destination, and we immediately aligned on that. So I just wanted to take a moment to share with everybody that I know you don't blow your own horn, but I just want everybody to know that you're doing what you said you were going to do. And I appreciate that, and I think all of us in Branson appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. And I do remember that day, and you give me the credit, but you actually invited me to the meeting because we were invited to go and sit at Full Throttle when they had hardly been open that long. And we met with the two gentlemen from Springfield that happened to ride their motorcycles down just because they had heard that maybe Branson was a place to come and have this rally because they were visiting Springfield. And you and I sat with them, and they had some food, and then they watched a couple of other friends ride in and have a seat at the bar. And we watched these people come in with their Harley jackets, and we were like, wow, is this just coincidence that you and I met with them? And then there happened to be this group come in, and it was perfect timing. But then you and I looked at each other, and when they started talking about the potential and the possibility and what that would look like, and we walked out and we said, this is something we need.
That's right.
It was, when we talk about household income and the quality of visitor, and I know you've heard me talk about it before, that what we want in Branson is not mass quantity. We don't want to just keep churning the styles and having more and more and more and more people come. We want quality versus quantity. And this is one event that does that. It's the weekend after Labor Day weekend, which is typically a slower weekend because it's not necessarily, families have already done their traveling for that holiday weekend. Kids are back in school. And let's also call it 9/11 falls during that time. And this is a very big year. It's a commemorative year for that event. And this is the opportunity to invite a group in that recognizes and feels the same way that we do about our destination, but also about patriotism, red, white, and blue, respecting and honoring our country, but celebrating in a way that is dignified. And working with Jesse and his team and the whole Full Throttle team, knowing their level of commitment and what they do with Sturgis is a perfect example of that level of attention to detail that we can expect here on a smaller caliber. And I also want to stress that we have been meeting with the downtown businesses. We've met with them a couple of times about other exciting events that are coming up. We've made it very clear to them, this is what's happening, this is the event. I know a couple of them are in the audience this evening. And also Steve Hartley sent a message today that he unfortunately could not make it, but they 100% are in favor of this event. They're excited. They want to see this level of traffic coming through town. And it's exciting to know that we could have potentially thousands of motorcycles parked downtown for everyone to walk in between and experience it and see it and all of the vendors, but then know that they'll also be showing up to your show and enjoying the weekend and just making it a weekend of celebration and fun.
For clarity, not just Clay's show.
Oh, I know that, yes.
Well, it's the
correct.
first stop, Mayor.
That will be we're actually going to put that on the website. You can't just go to Clay Cooper's show.
No, I don't recommend that, but I was gonna say notorious, I mean, there's no better time to do it because notoriously, after Labor Day, it's for about a week, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that 7,500 could be really low guess.
And I think that we're being conservative with our numbers. You know, we want to, obviously, we'll be prepared for crowds, but we want to look at this as, you know, we want to measure expectations, but we know that this event is going to grow exponentially each year. And again, with technology, we can also track everything that we're doing in terms of advertising, what we're serving up for campaigns, and being able to measure those. You know, that's one of the most amazing things about the technology that we use when we look at the Fall Fest, for example, that was in October, and the fact that we can measure and know the economic impact for all of those ads that were served. This will be the same way.
Go ahead, Artie.
I'd like to acknowledge Heather and Pam and all the economic development people and Amanda and her staff for all the work that they have put in on this. And as you already have said, and I will second it, that Steve called me today too about how excited they are about having this come to Branson, especially as Clay said, that week after Labor Day when everything is down. There's a couple of questions I have with respect to the thing, and that is the traffic patterns that were shown on those site maps. It looks like we're going to be able to go down from Veterans Boulevard to Commercial on Main Street, but that there won't be an outlet on either side or below that. Is that right?
I think they can pull the map back up if possible, and then can.
Amanda, would you like to share your
Take a
screen?
look at
I can
that.
also pull it up on this side if that's helpful.
Sure. Let me get my screen shared here. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
You might click from the beginning there in the top left, and
Okay,
then
let
it'll
me-
go larger. There, yep.
Okay.
Over on the left side there. There you go.
And Amanda, feel free to take this since you and your team
Sure.
have done all the heavy lifting on this.
Absolutely. Which street were you asking about, Artie?
Well, I'm trying to find out. It looks like Atlantic Street is closed.
Correct.
And,
Atlantic will be closed between Veterans and Commercial.
right, and Sycamore will be closed either side of Main Street.
Yes.
And Main Street will be closed.
Yes, that is correct. The east side of Main Street, and not all of Sycamore will be closed. We will not be blocking any entry into the convention area.
Okay, and I don't want to throw any water on this at all because I'm very excited about it. Please understand that, Jess. But that if we're going to be bringing in 7,500 people, which I think is real low estimate, along with the people that are going to be wanting to come and see and above, parking is always at a premium downtown. And so I'm just wondering how we are thinking we're going to parking for all of those people if we're going to be shutting down those areas. Do we have something in mind to address
Sure.
that?
If you, absolutely. So this is a site plan. If you see the light blue dotted area would be public parking. So we have some parking here, here as well. Let's see if I can. And then the convention center does have paid parking there. You know, there are several areas that could be utilized downtown for parking. We do have some overflow. Now, keep in mind, a lot of the vendors will be using part of these parking lots. So a lot of overflow will probably go into the convention area, which I do believe now they're paid parking. But the vendors will more than likely set up in this area here, if you can see my cursor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it's just something that I wanted us to be very aware of, because it is a concern. Come on, Angie.
You can call me the queen of parking, I guess. So the convention center parking garage has 429 parking spots for regular sized vehicles. I would imagine that motorcycles take up a little less space. We also have the surface lot that we have been talking to Jesse and his team about using for staging the bikes and possibly production trucks and things like that to keep them out of the attendee parking area. So we will utilize the parking at the convention center to minimize restraints on parking for guests, if that makes sense.
Well, is there any way that the city would be willing to maybe waive parking fees at the parking garage during that period to provide for some more free parking?
Kathy, do you want me to?
Could you take that, Solon?
Oh, how convenient. Yeah, so Artie, we have some contractual obligations, so it's not something that we can just waive on our own. So there's two different entities that have contractual obligations, and the city is in the mix of all that, and so those documents are probably going to control.
Well, handle it.
We're working on it. We're coordinating with all of them. So.
Okay, another question that I had was, in reading through the paperwork on the application, it talked about the number of police officers. Is Chief Schmidt still here? Oh, okay. Are we going to be providing police officers for this, or are they going to be off-duty police officers?
Yeah, we've had many in-depth conversations about security and first responders for medical events and fire as well.
And porta potties.
And porta potties, very important. And by the way, there should be more for the ladies than the men. I'm just saying it right now. Thank you. So yeah, we've had very in-depth conversations with all the chiefs, both chiefs, about this. And we're also getting support services or supporting staff from neighboring agencies as well. So the chief has put together a really good plan with the highest possible security that's practical, obviously, in mind. So we've had all those conversations, and that's all factored into the plan.
Who's going to be paying for that?
Well, we do, just like we do for any other events that come to town, is we do the same thing for parades, you know, the Adoration Parade and the Veterans Parades. Of course, this is a bigger scale, but, you know, given the return on that investment when it comes to bringing this many tourists to town for an event for this many days, it's a very, very small investment, and obviously to make sure it's as safe as can be. Security, though, regarding checking IDs for alcohol consumption, making sure people stay within the designated areas for being able to enjoy their libation, that's going to be on the applicant and the organizers. Mm-hmm.
Great.
They was going to pay for it with that free parking you're trying to give away.
It's only money.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Marshall?
Okay, these are just questions I had.
Thank you.
Hey, I have 2 quick points. The first thing is I just want to reiterate the first thing that Larry said. You know, guys, I have 2 meetings left. I'm going to step away to run my business for a time. But truly, I would not do that if I didn't feel as strongly as I felt about Heather and where you're at in your position. And the relationship that you and I have grown over the past few months and year, it's just incredible, the things that you've done, and I just appreciate that so much. The second point I'll make is on that slide. I've been saying this for years, guys. We talk about making this a 12-month economy, but especially when it comes to downtown, there's another period of time that we can open up, and that's at night. So it said to 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m., and 11:30 p.m. That is a whole nother untapped market, especially for downtown. just getting a whole new tradition of staying open down there. You know, getting some buskers down there into the evening, those lights that we have now. I mean, it is such an untapped opportunity. So I'm so excited about that. I think it's kind of a kickoff to some night activities downtown. So,
Thank you, Marshall. Any aldermen? Glenn?
Yeah, just briefly, first of all, thanks, guys, for all the organization into this thing. I've been hearing about this now for months in various meetings about how hard everybody was working to get everything ready, and it really shows. So thanks for all the effort to bring this to Branson, and thanks for our chamber and CVB. I know you tied up a lot of staff also working on this because I heard from some of those. So, but the result is just great, super. You know, I'm 100% behind this. I grew up in Milwaukee. And early in my engineering manager's career, I spent a lot of time in Harley-Davidson working with those folks. Great group of people, and the culture around Harley is going to be great to see in this town. It'll really be something. So thanks very much.
Great. Anybody? Oh, Ralph, I'm sorry.
You know, I think back just 3 years ago, kind of where we were with the future of Branson. You know, we were kind of sitting there kind of spinning, trying to get traction. And, you know, through some very cool happenings, we've got a lot of traction. And we got a lot of great leadership at the CVB and from a marketing perspective. But what a great opportunity. You know, it's when a time has come, it has definitely presented itself. And here we are sitting here with the ability to partner with national brands to do national events in what is, you know, the live music show capital of the country, and the most patriotic year, the 250th anniversary of our country. And what an amazing time this is, and what a culmination of events that it needed to happen to bring this event to fruition. I'm 1,000% behind it, and I look forward to it happening year after year after year. So thank you guys for all the hard work you do, and thank you for trusting Branson to pull this event off with you, and I think it's going to be amazing.
Ruth?
Ditto on everything that everybody's said, but Jesse and team, thank you so much for believing in Branson and bringing your celebration here. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Pam, and thank you, Heather.
Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments?
Hi, Daniel Meenan. Just a quick comment. I know you guys were talking about parking, but I didn't know if you were thinking about including the other side of the landing where the Bass Pro and the markets are on the other side by Paula Dean's. I didn't know if anyone's reached out to Branson Trolley or any other shuttle services and putting a shuttle relay back and forth from those parking locations and having a drop-off and pickup point. So that way the people aren't crossing that intersection while people are trying to commune back and forth.
Great idea. Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
Hi. Linda from the Crystal Fish and from the Reach Center downtown, the historic Reach building. And I'm also been drug into and am excited to be a part of that downtown group that's trying to come together collaterally, uniformly, excitedly for this event. Downtown has had a major boost. Thank you for the Fall Festival monies to boost out our new, all our new streets and our signage and all of that, and what the vendors and the merchants in downtown can actually put forward now, which is exciting. And so this comes on the heels of that as well. And so I do stand here along with Steve Hartley that called in and the other businesses that we've been representing downtown, and we've been meeting due diligently about all the amazing things that are happening in the area throughout the year, and Heather's team and the city and everyone that's been meeting with us. And we're very excited to have this event come to fruition with us. I have no doubt there will be people that will, maybe not. That's okay. We'll always have that. That's okay. It's okay. But there's a lot of people that want to. And what I'd like to just say to the aldermen is please keep your minds and eyes open and that, because the businesses downtown have never seen anything like this before. And we think there may be other opportunities within their home that they can reach out and be a part of this. So hopefully you'll listen to some of their things. They have some other ideas about, hey, how can I participate? How can I be a part of this? I obviously have a business in downtown, or I have a hotel, or I have whatever I have, but how do I extend that beyond what it is to take monetary advantage? I mean, that we are all here to be in business, and to also put our best foot forward for our guests and give them the most wonderful experience that they can have in town. So I know everybody feels that way. And Heather, thank you for your due diligence with the downtown. It's like herding cats. And we appreciate that she's our head cat leader. So thank you. And I just wanted to speak on the businesses downtown. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Linda.
No worries.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, just to add what she said, like, your Ozark Mountain hospitality is what's going to win them over.
It is.
Absolutely. And we are rich with that here, and that's the thing we need to exploit.
And
right
that is exactly, we want to perceive that. I mean, our downtown businesses have all of that in their heart, as do all the businesses on the strip. We won't let Clay out on this one. But we do want to extend that Ozark hospitality hand to everybody, for sure. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be a great weekend.
Thank you, Linda.
Hi, everybody. My name is John Harper, and I'm the owner of the Branson Scenic Railway. We were fortunate that we bought the railway back in '24, so just over 18 months, like right now. Not only do we own the Branson Scenic Railway, we own a railway in southwest Colorado called the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge. We also own one in North Carolina in the Smoky Mountains, and we actually partner with 80 railroads in 5 countries. I say all that because out of all those different locations, we actually work with the Motorcycle Rally, and we partner on the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally, and we're also familiar with the Smoky Mountain Rally. With those 2 rallies, it's unbelievable how much they're just family friendly, and how truly they bring just a different demographic to the area. And I will say the folks who I've worked with so far, they've been fantastic. And so, with that being on behalf of the railroad here in town, we carry 2,000 people per night in November and December. So just with the Polar Express, we had a 20% increase this year alone. So, we're doing something right. And really, with that being said, I just want to say on behalf of the railroad, we fully support this. And that we will be, working with them on any land they need, any resources they need on behalf of our part. And also with the conference, with the convention center, Angie, in the back, we'll all be working together to figure out parking, resources, and that as a neighbor that's right next to them, this is a great opportunity, and we're excited for it.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Again, Bobby Wydeen. I'm also the membership chair at Branson Christian Church, just kitty corner from us. And all of a sudden, I'm like, Sunday, are we going to have parking? So that's our only concern, is that we just have enough parking for our congregation to meet on Sunday morning. And then we would invite everyone to come to our church for our services. And you would also get a cute little bread in a little box, because we give that out to every one of our visitors. And I'm always baking.
Thank you, Bobby. Any other comments from our aldermen?
I'd just like to add one, just kind of a tangential thing. It's just great to see the downtown businesses pull together more and more with these events that are going on. And thanks, Heather. I know she has been very instrumental in calling the meetings and so on, but also it's just great to see the businesses excited. I too had taken temperatures of downtown businesses on this event when I saw it come up on the agenda, and it's hard to find anybody that objects to it. So I think we've really got a winner here, and I think we should give them our full support.
Great. So let's vote. We're voting on this resolution. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resounding ayes have it. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you.
Your Honor, the next item is a presentation on results of the Kansas City Chiefs TCED partnership.
We'll begin with a report from Heather Herman.
Hi. All right, so we're just going to give some simple highlights, show some pretty pictures, sum it up. We had a great year. We had a great run with the Chiefs, and it has reached its sunset, and we're excited to give you just a few of the recap items that we had the opportunity to take advantage of. If you had a chance to go to any of the home games, I personally attended 10 of them in the parking lot to tailgate, not to go to the game. And it was really wonderful. We got to meet game attendees, fans, people who had never heard of Branson. We met people from all over the world. There were attendees who came from Australia and Japan and all over. So we got to tell them the story about Branson. It was amazing. And then including this year, we will be attending 3 Draft Fest events. This year's is going to look a little different because FIFA World Cup is taking place at Arrowhead, so they will not be allowed to have Draft Fest in the stadium. So we will be holding Draft Fest at a special event location in downtown Kansas City. But we also had the chance to host the cheer training camp here. We had them here twice, and it was because of them visiting and going to the Haygoods that they fell in love with the Haygoods, and then the Haygoods got to perform the national anthem at the game on September 4th on 2024. So that was amazing, right? I think we all remember that. It was pretty incredible. And then one of the most special things, I think, is the hometown hero. If you had a chance to attend any of the home games, during halftime, up on the south end of the stadium, they take a hometown hero who has been identified, and we actually got to take part in picking those hometown heroes each year, and we sponsored them. So part of halftime presentation was a hometown hero who had either been a veteran or a member of our, first responders, and someone nominated them and they told their story. And we had a chance to recognize 30 hometown heroes in the course of 3 seasons. And what was really great about it is they each got Branson memorabilia, they got an autographed football, but they thanked everyone. They thanked Branson for recognizing these people who served our country, who served our communities. And I think that was probably one of my most favorite parts about that partnership. We also had the Labor Day weekend rally. That was my very first weekend in Branson. I moved here, hadn't even started the job, and I came early just so I could be here for that rally with the mayor. That was where I told you you and I were going to be friends. And you were like, I don't know about you. But it worked out. And our digital performance, we reached millions of fans through their social media, their newsletters, and their team publications. And it's been a fun ride. And I think you can see now that it served its purpose, and we have some really great, exciting things that we then evolve and move on to.
Thank you, Heather.
You bet.
Any questions from the aldermen? Comments? Marshall.
All right. I would like to address a couple things. I really ask that if people want to be as informed as they possibly can in the city of Branson, the large Facebook groups are really not the best place to get your information. I want to say first and foremost that the number that's being thrown around as far as how much was spent on this initiative, please research that because it was actually a partnership with the TCED. Okay, that's the first thing. Secondly, folks, these were marketing dollars. We didn't take from not patching a road or not putting up street lights and go give it to the Kansas City Chiefs for nothing. Folks, this was a very unique, outside-the-box marketing initiative that lasted for a time. Then we had a rock star come in who said, I want to finish that as great as we can finish it, and then let's find some new initiatives. She's got an initiative right now called Where My Heart Sings, which is an incredible marketing slogan, and it's going to be our thing for about the next 3 years. Now, if I was king for a day, maybe it'd last for 20 years, but marketing things come and go, and that's just how it works. So I keep hearing things like, well, what did we get out of this? Did Kansas City Chiefs players come here and visit Branson? First off, they have and they did. I checked Trent McDuffie into my resort up on 265 and another Chiefs player. But that certainly was not what it was for, because actually if that was what it was for, then I can tell you it probably would have been a waste of money. It got us connected to one of the most prominent brands in entertainment, forget sports, entertainment, at the absolute height of their powers, a dynasty. The Branson banners going all throughout the stadium. Connection to a brand that had our values to a T. If you look at the Hunt family, if you look at what they did to honor veterans, and Branson was connected to that. And now we get to step back, admire what we did, and say, what's the next thing this rock star is going to bring to us, including this Harley rally? So I just wanted to address some of the lies that I think are based in ignorance, so I'll forgive some of them. But I think people should really look into what this was, what the purpose of it was, and where the funds came from. Thank you.
Man, I'm glad you got that off your chest, man. I agree with every bit of it, too.
Kirk, did you want to say anything? Thought that was you. I saw a glare in the back of the room.
Thanks for acknowledging my bald head. Kirk Elmquist, thanks, Mayor, and the rest of you all. Many great people have stood in this room, and now we've added another one to the roster. It's a big brand. It's a big opportunity. The number one brand in the NFL, the number one branded sport in the world. And then 3 years ago, we attached ourselves to that. And now we're looking at a vision with the Chiefs to have the NFL owners meetings at Big Cedar Lodge by 2030.
Wow.
We've built a tremendous foundation with the number one brand in the NFL that's just 3.5 hours from here. And they're very fond of our market. And you couldn't have said it any better, and I love your passion. I wish I could speak like that in public. But nothing ventured, nothing gained, but a lot gained. 14 million fan base, 60% female season ticket holder ownership started, it was 40. And then Taylor Swift started dating the tight end, and the music industry got a hold of what we are about through that relationship. Do our values line up with those people all the time? No. But the attention on the brand and the opportunities that we got to put ourselves in front of one of the top organizations in the world by an ownership group that held the Lombardi trophy above his head and said, oh, first of all, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I can get behind a man like that. So thank you for leaning in on that, voting in on that, and the RTCD Board of Directors at the same. And truly, our partnership is a powerful partnership. TCD, the city, and Explore Branson. It had to come together, and it did. And I admire you all for leaning in on it. Kathy, your leadership and friendship through this has been astonishing. Thank you. Any questions for me?
Any questions from the board?
How you doing, Artie? Good to see you.
Thanks, Kurt. Anybody else in the audience? Yep, that was just a report. So, Bill, what's next?
Your Honor, the next item is public hearing and first reading of Bill Number 6648, an ordinance approving the petition to establish the Grand Country Resort Community Improvement District and establishing the Grand Country Resort Community Improvement District.
Okay, so we will now open the public hearing and begin with a staff report from Lindsay.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. I am Lindsay Kolish with Lubbock Municipal Law, and as you just heard, we're here tonight to discuss the proposed Grand Country Wilderness Community Improvement District. So we will start with just a brief overview. This project is much smaller than the last project I was here for with you guys, so we only have 3 ordinances tonight on the books, and we will start just with some general overview of what the project entails. So first, this proposed development would be Grand Country Wilderness, which would be an expansion of the current Grand Country Resort. The intention of the expansion is to have 50 two-bedroom tourist cabins available for use for Grand Country guests. And I think Mr. Glenn Robinson is here tonight if he would like to speak at all as well. But those 50 cabins would be developed in 4 phases over the next 4.5 years or so, and then they would have a community improvement district, which would pay for the stormwater systems, the sewer systems, the water systems, and the utilities that would serve that Grand Country Wilderness development. As I said, the estimated completion is about 54 months after approval of these ordinances, if they were to be approved. The total development cost for all of the development of Grand Country Wilderness would be $19.3 million. The SID project, which is just the stormwater, sewer, water, and utilities, that would cost $6.8 million. And in the development agreement, which I'll talk about in just a minute, it lays out the process where you guys are familiar with the reimbursement cap, where we only reimburse so much money to a developer, and that would be at $5.2 million. So not the total cost of the SID project, but that would be 26.86% of the total development cost of Grand Country Wilderness. And as I mentioned, it is just one incentive we are looking at tonight, a community improvement district. So real quickly before I get into the petition, this is what we are looking at. You can see here on the bottom of the screen where Grand Country's current facilities are located at. This is planned to be development of that back lot portion of Grand Country properties up to Rorick Valley Road. Part of the project is hopefully solving the flooding issues on Rorick Valley Road. Of course, that's not a strict obligation because flooding is wild, but that is hopefully going to be resolved with the implementation of the public infrastructure in this project as well. So the SID Act requires the city clerk to certify that the SID petition is in substantial conformity with the SID Act, and Hillary has done that, and I will read through just a few items in the petition for your information. So first, this would be a political subdivision community improvement district that would place a 1% sales and use tax on the entire district. The district would include the current Grand Country facilities and then would also include the cabins in the back. It would be a political subdivision, which means that it is still required to comply with the Sunshine Law and all sorts of other laws that relate to political subdivisions. The petition was signed by actually 100% of the owners of property within the district, and that is the Grand Country facilities, and then also the back portion of this lot is multiple parcels, and they're all owned by affiliates of Grand Country or Mr. Robinson himself. So those all signed the petition. The legal description and the map of the project are included in the petition. We will have a 5-member board of directors like most SIDs in Branson. The initial directors that were named by the developer were Glenn Robinson, Kathy Maggard, and Deborah Robinson, and the city will then have its 2 appointees that it names also. As part of the ongoing administration of the SID, the board will eventually be the ones who are selecting, and the mayor would select and the board would appoint the SID members, and that will happen as those terms come off from the initial directors. This SID would last for 27 years or until that $5.2 million reimbursement is fully reimbursed. And it is no property taxes, no business licenses, and no special assessments. So just a sales tax on the current Grand Country facilities is essentially what we're looking at here. They are not requesting a blight finding, and then, of course, as complied with the SID Act, they will submit their annual budget to the board, to you all, for your approval each year. So that will be a continual obligation of this board. So before I get into the development agreement and the cooperative agreement, are there any questions on the SID petition itself? We'll finish that public hearing and then move on to the other ordinances. Questions? No? Okay. Then if any member of the public?
Member in the audience wish to address this?
Okay. Well, then we can close the public hearing.
So the public hearing is now closed. You've heard the first reading of Bill 6648. I have a motion approving this bill.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to speak regarding this matter? Anybody in the audience wishing to speak to this? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill number 6649, an ordinance approving the cooperative agreement with the Grand Country Resort Community Improvement District relating to the development agreement regarding Grand Country Wilderness LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute the documents related thereto.
For the first reading of Bill 6649, do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Staff report from Lindsay.
So in the cooperative agreement, I will discuss that for just a moment, but just for your review, this is a conceptual site plan that the developer has proposed. This is actually flipped on its side, so Rorick Valley Road here to the north is on the left side of the screen, and that's what they are envisioning. Generally, that immersed wilderness is that the idea is that these will be private roads that are just have the cabins around them, and they still have trees and the nature environment around them. Couple more. These are what the cabins would look like. And then, so the cooperative agreement, as you are aware, the SID would be its own political subdivision, so the city generally requires its SIDs to enter into a cooperative agreement, and that is between the city, the district itself, and the developer. The cooperative agreement is in place for the lifetime of the SID. And it generally requires the district to complete the improvements in accordance with what the SID petition says and what the development agreement also requires. They are required to comply with the Sunshine Law and provide notices, agendas, and agenda packets to the city for regular meetings 3 days in advance, for special meetings as soon as practicable for a special meeting. They, again, will provide the annual budget to the Board of Aldermen. And I will talk with the development agreement, just a little note on, notes, actually. But the district, as a SID, the district itself can issue its own obligations by law. The cooperative agreement, in the cooperative agreement, the district agrees that it will not do so without the consent of the Board of Aldermen. So we'll talk in just a minute about how they intend to use notes, but that process is specifically for that process. Otherwise, they are not allowed to issue obligations or bonds. And of course, that is an agreement that can be amended in the future or modified, but that's where we are now. For city responsibilities for the SID, the city will continue to receive the district sales tax collections and then administer that throughout the administration of the SID. We will reimburse the SID for the costs of the SID project, which is all of the public infrastructure that will go in. The city, of course, will also keep records of those reimbursements to the district so that we have those records if they need them. And then the board will annually review, and it says comment, but it's actually approve the district budget each year. And then in total, the city will receive a 2% total administrative fee that covers the city's administrative costs throughout the year in working with the SID and making sure all of those notices are posted in the budget and things like that. So, okay, any questions on the cooperative agreement?
Any questions from the board? Glenn?
It just could, I think normally the administrative fee by statute is 0.5%.
So
What's the basis for the 2%?
So in the SID Act, it does say that you can have a 1.5 administrative fee to administer the SID. So that other 0.5% is administration of the development agreement itself. There are, we have to check and certify and make sure that they did actually do the work that they said they were going to do, and that's outside of the SID Act, really. That is just making sure that the development agreement is honored as it should be.
Yeah, that's great. And I really appreciate, the language you've added to the SID agreement so that, it covers the issues that we've had in the past. The question I have is, I think now this is new. Right now, without any wording in the agreement to the contrary, they would just have to submit their annual budget. We'd review and on it, right? It seems the SID statutes don't give us much beyond that, but this agreement says we're actually approving it.
Correct.
Right? Just practically, and I don't anticipate this, but since this is a new provision, what would happen from your perspective if we didn't approve the budget? If we looked at it and said, no, we're not happy with it?
Well, it would depend on what sort of disagreement there is in the budget. First, in the SID petition, there is a 5-year plan that shows what they plan to spend SID revenues on. So of course, that would have to meet. And if that didn't meet what their submitted budget was, we would have some concerns, and we would work with them and make sure that that budget is approved and does match the SID petition. They have to meet the SID petition because that's the whole point of the SID petition, is that we honor it as it continues. So that would be just an ongoing discussion with the board of directors and making sure that the SID obligations that they are required to do by the development agreement and the SID petition are honored, but then as those SID projects fall off, making sure that whatever else they want to use the revenues for still match the SID petition.
That's great. I don't really anticipate that would be an issue for us, especially with 2 board members from the city sitting there working on that board. It should take care of itself.
Exactly. And with a SID project like this, I understand, like, for example, the historic downtown Branson SID is much more encompassing of different things that it can do. For a project like this, it is very specific that they are using these SID revenues on this public infrastructure. So it's less of a argument and more of a, this is what we have to do.
Any other aldermen? Any members of the public? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6650, an ordinance approving the development agreement between the city and Grand Country Wilderness LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute the documents related thereto.
For the first reading of Bill 6650, do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We're going to hear from Lindsay.
Yes, last one. So the development agreement. The development agreement is the agreement between the city and the developer, and that is really how we enforce all of the requirements regarding reimbursement are all in the development agreement. The redevelopment schedule, which is about 4.5 years of phases of the projects, is included in the development agreement. The reimbursement cap that they will only receive $5.2 million of reimbursement is included in the development agreement. So all of the major terms and requirements that we make of them are included there. And that includes generally maintaining the project, making sure that it meets city code throughout the term of the incentive. If they eventually want to sell Grand Country Resort or any of the property within the district, they would have to come to the board first for that approval. Of course, they could sell and not want the incentives to continue, and that would be another discussion. But if they wanted the incentives to continue, they would have to come to the board for that approval. So all of those are included in the development agreement. The one that is a little bit different than what we are used to for the past couple of SIDs that I've worked on with you all is that for this project, what the applicant has proposed to do is the applicant will incur the costs of all of the SID projects. As each phase is completed, the district would issue notes which would repay the applicant back for his upfront costs in the development. And then the SID sales tax revenue would pay off the debt service on that note. So it is a little bit of it's a slightly different process than we are used to. And it is because the applicant's attorney is from St. Louis, and that is a St. Louis thing that they do on that side of the state with SIDS. And we just have different processes as we do. And so that is what they have asked to do here. So the district would issue notes. It would be 4 of them as each phase is completed. But that would be the only sort of obligation or note that the district would be able to issue without the board's consent. And of course, the board would be consenting now if we approve these agreements that they can do those 4 notes in those 4 phases as well.
How abnormal is that, Lindsay?
I wouldn't call it abnormal. It's just different from what we typically do. We usually just do a straight reimbursement that the SID sales tax just pays off those project costs. My understanding, and we also have Colby Krasnowski with Baker Tilly on the line, so he may be able to discuss this a little bit more than I can. But my understanding is that notes process is a little bit more of a secured transaction as far as banks are concerned, so banks may prefer that a little bit. So it's not abnormal, it's just a different process that some applicants like to have.
Artie?
So Lindsay, if I understand you right, then the 4 CID projects that are listed, are you saying those would be the phases that they would send the notes out on?
Not exactly. So those 4 different improvements will be made in these 4 phases. So they will build the development in 4 phases. They will do, it's between 10 and 15 cabins in each phase. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
Well, I'm excited. I mean, I've known Glenn for over 3 decades, used to work for him in a show down there for several years. I consider Glenn to be the Johnny Morris of Branson, Missouri. So if he says he's going to build something beautiful, it's going to be more beautiful. I mean, he doesn't cut corners. You can drive down the strip and see that man on a ladder changing the marquee himself and pulling weeds from the flower bed. So, matter of fact, he called me last year and he said, Clay, he left me a voicemail. I'm trying to get this SID, and I'd like for you to be on my board. If I don't hear back from you, I'll just assume that was a yes. So that's how he rose, you know what I mean? No, I can't speak high enough about Glenn Robinson and the person that he is and the business that he's ran and where he started and where it is to this day. It's a huge asset to Branson, so.
Yep, and I will ditto that, with the only exception is I've only known Glenn for 2 decades, not 3. Glenn has been a highly respected businessman in our community. Any other questions or comments from the board? Questions from the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, the next item is the public hearing and resolution approving the preliminary subdivision plat for the Branson Heights subdivision for the properties located at 1416 and 1420 West 76 Country Boulevard, Branson, Missouri.
We will now open this public hearing and begin with a staff report from Amanda. Amanda's online.
Well, she's showing connected. Can you hear us, Amanda?
One more.
Sorry about that. Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Let me get my screen pulled up here. All right. Super excited about presenting this one as well tonight. We have a lot going on in the community. And this is a request for an approval of a preliminary plat for the Branson Heights subdivision. The applicant, Carl Finkenbinder, on behalf of 76 at Fall Creek LLC. This is a remodel for the former Red Line Inn into vacation condos for short-term rentals, also including retail, restaurant uses, and amenities. It is currently zoned entertainment. We have our legal advertisements that went out. This is the location there on the 76 Country Boulevard. It is currently zoned for commercial. And the existing land use is for lodging. This is the aerial with utilities. Staff recommends approval. On February 3rd, this went to the Planning Commission, recommended approval of the preliminary subdivision plat unanimously by a vote of 7-0 through resolution number SD 2527. One thing I would like to mention is this also is an opportunity to connect with our trails. And the applicant, Carl, has mentioned an interest in doing that. I do believe Carl is there this evening, so I'd like to invite him up to talk a little bit more about his project. And if IT could pull up the rendering for the Margaritaville.
Sure will.
Hello, Carl.
Hey, how are you all this evening? Thank you for having me. Carl Finkenbinder, 800 State Highway 248, Suite 4A, Branson, Missouri. So some of you already know because I've met with some of you about it, so you already knew what we were kind of looking at doing here, but for those of you who don't, we're looking to do a
Excuse me a second, Carl. Can they hear him on the mic?
Sorry.
Yeah, if you could pull that
There we
up,
go.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
So this is will look and function like a Margaritaville resort. The best way I could describe it is most of you are probably familiar with what we do. We build nightly rental and sell them to individuals. That's a big portion of what our business does. Not all of it, but a big portion of it. And so this will function, the way I've described it is similar to the Hilton, how it's condotel. And so you have the top stories that are actually owned by individuals. A lot of people don't know that because that's not how it looks. This will be the same. So it'll look like and function like a Margaritaville resort or motel. And internal, so there will be a restaurant there on this side, and then on the right-hand side where the check-in says, it'll be a check-in. And inside that building, there will be a workout facility, restaurant, check-in, and then an amenity core, the old pool area in between the buildings is where the amenity will be a larger, nice pool with water slide and a couple pickleball courts on site. And as Amanda mentioned, we're looking at trying to connect to the trail system, which just runs just on the city of Branson's property to the south. So that's what it is. Traditionally, what we've done in the past, so for example, like RoArc, what we did is we just simply went through an administrative plat on the condo plat, which can be handled administratively. We couldn't do that with this because I guess the plat was so old. The existing plat was from 1911, I believe, and it was old, like little tiny lot lines. And so because it was so old, we had to go through a major subdivision process. And so the first step is I've got to go through this process, the preliminary and final plat on the subdivision process, which will kind of give us, I guess, like a blank slate, so to speak. And then once I get done with that, later probably this summer, or when we get through that process, late spring, early summer, then we'll do an administrative plat on the condo so that each of the individual units inside can be sold to individuals. But the commercial building up front will, like I said, be retained likely by us or sold to a proprietor who would run the restaurant. And so that's really it. I hope I answered what questions Amanda had. Any questions for me?
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Carl, I absolutely dig the trails aspect of it, buddy. Especially being in front of the Lakeside Forest trails there. It's one of the most historic and sort of well-traversed areas in our town. And real quickly, if I could just put a bug in your ear. The dream is, this has been talked about many times, is to connect all of Branson trails into a giant loop. Well, one of the ways to do that is you'd have to get across Highway 76. So again, just throwing it out there. For future reference, some kind of a partnership with the 76 CID for like a gateway walkway like they have in Springfield that could connect and make this, one of the pinnacles of the Branson Trail system could help you guys and help the community. So it's a crazy idea, but I'll throw it out there.
Well, yeah, well, to that effect, I think, is it Matt? He's contacted me about that and has already sent me the proposed easement for the improvement, highway improvement, which we're willing to do, get on board with that. I just had a couple of changes because of the existing sign, we'll do it and I'll sign the easement. There was a couple exceptions. I wanted to make sure, because I think the edge of that sign right there, that monument sign that exists right now on site, is inside the easement, the corridor easement. So I just wanted to make an exception for that so I didn't have to rip it out. But other than that, yeah, we'll sign the easement and give it. And I had heard somewhere along the line that there was some vision of a overpass or something over across the highway there, and so we'd be more than happy to have it there. So, yeah.
What a much, oh, sorry, Mayor. Just what a much needed facelift for that property right there. I mean, that could really enhance things. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, no, we agree. We think that area of the strip needs some attention, and we hope that this might be some movement in that direction.
And Carl, I was just going to ditto what Clay just said. Our entire community appreciates you guys for putting this in on that particular site.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited. I've been working directly with Margaritaville now and they're excited about it too. If any of you have ever talked to them, they've looked at this area to put stuff here for a long time and have just never really had the opportunity, other than the land shark on the restaurant, but on the landing, they've looked for something in the hospitality side and just haven't done it yet. And so they're excited about it too.
Thank you. Any other comments from our board?
Just wanted, when he brought this project to planning and zoning, overwhelmingly, you got a lot of support, and we look forward to working with you and following this project. It's going to be beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We're excited.
Thank you. Okay, so the public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Any members of the board wishing to speak regarding this matter?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I was just going to say, that particular property has had some history behind it, and some good, some not so good. But I think this is, what a great transition to really add a lot of life to that area. And I think you're right that it's going to be that spark that's going to help kind of transition that 1.2 miles of from 65 to that road. So yeah, thank you so much for your investment in the community. Appreciate it.
Any other comments from the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, this is the first reading bill number 6651, an ordinance approving a contract with Cigna for City of Branson medical, dental, and vision insurance coverages and authorizing the mayor to execute the documents related thereto.
Thank you, Carl. You've heard the first reading of bill number 6651. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get a staff report from Haley. Hello, Haley.
Hi, good evening. As I do this every year with you, we are asking to renew our comprehensive employee benefit package that includes medical, dental, vision, other insurance offerings with Cigna. We did go out to market, reviewed a handful of plans, different carriers, and really worked hard to bring our rates down within budget. And so tonight we are just asking for approval to move forward with the contract.
Wow. Any members of the board wishing to speak to this?
I just want to say, what an exciting contract to read all the way through. That was a thriller. Thank you.
You're so welcome. My pleasure.
Any other comments on the board? I will say firsthand, I had experience to test out our medical insurance. And I will assure you that Haley and her team, man, I know when they go out to bid and when they negotiate these contracts, like I said, I can tell you firsthand, Haley and them are tough negotiators. They put so many things in the contract to protect every employee at Branson. I just couldn't speak more highly of what Haley does and her team with our health insurance.
Well, thank you.
In the audience have any comments or questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you again,
Thank
Haley.
you.
We're now at the report section of our meeting. What did say you, Alderman Schultz?
Thank you. Couple of things for this evening since we have our reports at our last one. It's that time of the year where the MONASP group is coming to town, the state archery tournament. They're coming to the Branson Convention Center March 18th through the 21st. It's their 10th year here in Branson. This is the second largest state archery tournament in the nation that we host here. And they're looking for volunteers. So if you would please, you can sign up online. They're looking for people like greeters, raffle sales. They have seated positions, standing positions. They can accommodate all sorts of people, and they need a lot of volunteers. That's what makes this thing work well. So if you would please volunteer. The link is a horribly long link to do it. I did put it up on the Schultz for Branson website, and hopefully we can get it up on the city site too if it's, I looked earlier and it wasn't up there, but maybe we can get that up there to make it easier for everybody to find. As you're aware, I sit on the airport board, the airport over in Hollister. That board was very pleased that last year's operating budget was profitable. And we were able to do some major repairs thanks to tagging on to some bids that went out for the county, major repairs to the roofs for the hangars out there. So those are in a really good shape. So looking forward to a good year out there at our county airport. I had a report, I had a number of citizens, as did Alderman Lucas, ask about the lights on Branson Hills and Branson Landing Boulevard, the street lights. And my understanding is we're well within 60 days now of having those taken care of. Michael's team has been working with the utilities to get that all coordinated. So hopefully we'll see resolution to that very soon. I had a citizen or two contact me about flags not being lit. That was taken care of really quickly by our Parks Department. But it did just kind of give me a thought that, you know, as we approach the 250th anniversary, we're going to have a lot of visitors, a lot of veterans in town. We're probably going to be putting up a lot more flags. It'd probably be wise for us and for residents to review the flag code so that we display flags properly and respectfully throughout that whole time so that nobody brings into question our practices. In the case of the lighting at the Rexplex, I would just say an example of that would be when we know we have a timer problem, we default to leaving the lights on all the time rather than not having them on at night until the timer could be fixed. Things like that. And the other thing that was pointed out to me, and I don't know if we're looking at this at all within the city, but there's a special 250th anniversary American flag that has a bit of Betsy Ross to it. And the flag store in town said they do have access to large format versions of those flags if we wanted to put them up on our big flag poles like at the roundabout and other places, but not to wait too much longer because stocks will dwindle rapidly now. So it might be something we want to look at. It seems like our snowstorm was a year ago already, that the team did such a good job with all the plowing, so thank you, Michael, and your department. I heard a lot of great comments about it, how fast it got plowed and so on. It was just nice to see. A couple of people did comment that they were a little disappointed how long that they didn't get their parking lanes plowed eventually, that just the main lanes were plowed, but I'm sure that's something that can be worked on. I did have a discussion with some staff, though, about that. You know, if we're working on a year-round economy, this is something that we have to think about more holistically, because imagine that we had a major basketball tournament at our new sports center on the weekend of that snowstorm. You know, they would have been basically confined to quarters for quite a while. And it gives rise to the thought that we probably, as part of our longer-term planning, should take a serious look at additional equipment like front-end loaders, skid steers, and things that can really clear our tourist areas as well. So not only are our roads clear, but our sidewalks are clear, stores are open, people have access without trip and fall issues, so that they can get out and enjoy Branson right after a snowstorm. There's other communities that do that. We're just not used to it down here because we've been so used to being shut down for the winter months. So I think it's an opportunity, but it's also a responsibility that we got to start baking some of that into our future budgets for capital plans to make sure we're able to execute that way. And then just speaking on capital, just one or two quick things here. You know, we've got a lot of things coming up for the city that are major projects. We saw in Kendall's report that we probably have over $100 million worth of fairly near-term water sewer infrastructure that improvements that have to be done. We're talking about a significant investment in the sports center. You know, we've got the question yet lingering out there of the expansion of the convention center, and ironically, MONASP is one that's asking for more space. You know, we've got a number of other projects, like an indoor swimming pool that's been talked about and never fully brought to resolution. So I think what I would advocate for from my position is that we develop a 7-year capital plan where we lay out all those projects so that the Board of Aldermen can start talking about prioritization, timing, and other things related to that, so that as budgets are prepared, that we're all in sync about how we're going to invest our capital. And I think I'll stop there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ralph?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much. You know, the only thing I really have to report is, you know, we had this little kind of snow event and cold for about 10 days, but I have to tell you, just on the street talking to people and talking to people in businesses and you know, just kind of across the table with people, the people that are working are having really good start to the year. I mean, I've heard people tell me this is the best January I've ever had in Branson, and I've been here for 20 plus years. So that's indicative of we are starting to see that four-season economy develop. And, you know, albeit a sharp beginning, I think we can definitely build upon it. And, you know, those are the things that are important in this community is how can we continue to grow and grow at a rate that's sustainable and grow at a rate that's smart and grow at a rate that's respectful to everyone, residents and business owners. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Ralph. Ruth?
No comments tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Cooper?
I'm good, Mayor. Thank you.
Marshall?
I'm good.
Artie? Push your button, please.
Spring is coming. In case anybody hasn't heard. It's closer than you think. And I just want to say that after spending 2 weeks in Kansas City with the Yard Apes, I am so glad to be back in Branson. It was so good to get home, sleep in my own bed. That's all I.
Kathy? I'm going to say I know we're going to start receiving some of our year-end financial reports, but I am proud to say that both our city sales tax, our tourism tax numbers far exceeded 2024. Very proud of that. I think that goes a long way of what this board has, the decisions we've made over the years. You can see year over year we've had increased taxes, which means our businesses are doing better. So I'll be anxious to get those financial numbers here pretty soon. Other than that, great to have meetings like this, right? It's just so positive and so productive in the things that we're doing to put Branson on the national map. Just warms the cockles of my heart. It's a lot of hard work. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we return to closed executive session pursuant to 610.021.1 RSMO for legal action, causes of legal action or litigation involving a public governmental body and any confidential or privileged communication between a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorneys, 610.021.2 RSMO for real estate, and 610.021.12 RSMO for negotiated contract.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Should we read that the public is welcome to stay until we return?
The public wants to stay until we return. When we return, we're just going to adjourn. We're going to close that meeting and leave you. So if you want to stick around, I think the coffee's old, but.
take Dave's jacket with you?
Yeah. I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Aldermen meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, meeting's adjourned.